So, Muhammad, can you please introduce yourself?
Mohammed Al-Madani, the CEO of Classera for Smart Learning.
Muhammad, this is not your first participation at GESS. Can you talk us through what made you decide you want to come back to GESS as a gold sponsor for 2019?
Well, my story with GESS is very interesting, and I still remember the first time I came to GESS in 2013, and I was just, moving around alone, and I was saying, oh, that's a good exhibition in the region. I was focusing at the time in the US, working, with Classera, and growing in the US. In 2013 actually is the year when we wanted to focus in the Middle East. When I came, they told me this is an event you don't want to miss. And I was amazed. It was big, big traffic. I was used to these kind of trade shows in the US and in London. I did not expect at the time to see something similar in the Middle East, focusing just on education. So I was amazed, to tell the truth in 2013. And here we are, 6 years later, and we're the gold sponsor of this event. It can show you the belief. Of course, we didn't start as a gold sponsor. We started by the very following year, started with a small booth, trying to test it out. The attraction was good. Many decision makers are coming from the region. They know how to invite the right people, the right decision makers, the right mix. So we found it to be very helpful. So we start, going up and up. Of course, our business in the region is getting up and getting bigger and bigger. And the bigger we are in the region, the bigger we invest in the event, because we saw the return on investment as something good. Now we became, in our industry in the e-learning. In the e-learning, we have the biggest market share in the industry of e-learning, and it was very common sense to us to be the gold sponsor in one of the best, if not the best, exhibition focusing in education in the region.
I was actually going to ask you this. You started off in the US, and now you have one of the largest, if not the largest, market share in your field. So how did this happen from the US coming here to the Middle East and growing substantially?
Obviously, we're very passionate about the region. So even though we start in the US, we are very passionate about, having an impact in the Middle East. It does have a lot of potential. The only, I think, thing that will unlock this potential is education. We are a company that focus in smart learning, in providing the best education and technology that will make the education in the language of the current generation, which is a generation that, Anthony, is speaking, technology, they're breathing technology. So we're coming, Classera, to make, education cool, using the cool technology, using artificial intelligence, gamification, and social learning. So these are the three main things. And that did resonate even in the US. But since we are passionate about the region, since 2013, we focused most of our attention here. And we saw the region actually, and we were surprised. They were looking for anything with big innovation. They were all about big innovation. Once you show them what is there, we saw the people interacting with it in a very different way. It wasn't, of course, an easy journey. We had to go and we have to go to do break the wall, break the stones. And now we're in 15 countries in the region, and thankfully many governments started to adopt our technology. And after the government started to adopt us, that's how we became, the company with the biggest market share in our field, and we're grateful for that.
That's great to hear. And actually it leads me to my third question right now is the transformation, the digital transformation in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. How did Classera play such a big role in doing that?
We're very grateful that Classera has been chosen to conduct this huge project, which is called Digital Transformation of Education in Saudi Arabia. Basically, we're going to apply our platform in Classera to most of the public schools in the kingdom. It has a long selection process. They have seen so many companies from different regions, different parts, and they came to the conclusion that Classera is something unique. And before that, we did have the biggest market share in the private schools. So of course that was, it adds to convince them that, this is something cool. And we started the project. We finished, by the way, phase 1, 2, and we're doing phase 3 now. And it was great, very successful. Many teachers, students are very enthusiastic about it, how it changing the way they're getting their education. for tens of years they're being taught in the same way, maybe the way that my grandfather is being taught. Now we're changing all that, and many students and teachers are very excited about it. And by the way, it's a huge project, the one in South that you asked about. By the end of 2020, we should cover most of the public schools in the country. So most of those kids gonna use our app to do, their academic work. And it's of course not just the student, the teachers, the parents, everyone. And it's just the determination, the passion we had into getting there, and we are thankful that we have been chosen for this great project.
The hard work obviously pays off. Last year you won an award at the GESS Educational Award, and obviously you've won other awards in the region. So how does entering, or how, when you enter these awards, how does it feel when you get rewarded or recognized, especially that in the business term you're already getting rewarded by getting contracts from the government or from private schools, but just getting that award at GESS last year, what did it mean to you? What did it feel?
Of course, it feels great, and the best thing, we didn't just get regional awards. We started getting some global awards from different places. So we got the GESS last year, which is an international competition, by the way. We saw many companies from the UK, Australia, China, you name it, competing with us, and we were in the first in the innovation track, which is a good track that we are proud of. We got the BET Award, which is also one of the biggest worldwide in London. We got the Learning Award, another big award in London. So basically, when you see these multiple awards, it gives our customers that trust. It is not just us saying that we're a good, solution and recognition. No, there's some independent body or judges who are saying this is one of the best things we have ever seen. So it's, of course, it's a good assurance, and it's the same feeling that I guess the actors feel when they get the Oscar award. So they know they're a good actor, but of course when you get it in the stage, it does feel better, and it is a good assurance for your clients and the people who have already trusted your solution. So we're ever grateful for that, and I guess we're gonna expect more and more rewards in the coming years. But we focus not about the awards and these prizes. We focus about doing good work, delivering the best technology, trying to have an impact in education, whether in the region and in the other places that we're working with. But we're still growing in the US now. We're starting to grow also in Southeast Asia. We want to have a message of having the best impact, revolutionizing education for those students. If you do this with a big passion and determination, all the awards and the contracts gonna come to you.
So there's a huge Saudi presence at GESS Dubai 2019 this year. Obviously, with you being a gold sponsor and participation from the Saudi ministry and a few other companies, what would you give advice to some of the Saudi companies, similar to how you came to GESS? You were taken by surprise, let's say, and then you came here and you decided, you know what, I would like to participate, and then it got more and more. Participation grew in terms of stand size, and now you're a sponsor. How do you find GESS this year, and what kind of advice would you give other Saudi entities looking to expand into the UAE market, especially that GESS is not just it is a show based in Dubai, but it's also a global show. We've got visitors from so many countries. What advice would you give them, especially that it's a story that you've been through?
I have to say, don't do it unless you're doing it with Anthony. Kidding. Of course, it's a great story. I mean, very obviously, I told you, 2013, I was, roaming around alone in this conference, and here I am 6 years later, the gold sponsor. It definitely does, show the impact. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. And as you said, I mean, the best thing is not just about, leveraging your product to the UAE market. Actually, it's an international event, so we see many people from around the region. So if you know how to utilize the event in the best way, then it is, of course, worth it.